Jim Carrey versus Will Smith. Jim Carrey has weighed in with his views and opinions about Will Smith's conduct. As recorded in The Independent, the title in an article by Ingra Parkell states, Jim Carrey says Will Smith should have been arrested for hitting Chris Rock at Oscars. Jim Carrey has responded to Will Smith hitting Chris Rock at the Oscars. The actor is among the latest in a line of celebrities who have weighed in on the dramatic moment, which took place after Rock joked about Jada Pinkett Smith's bald head, referring to her as G.I. Jane. In an interview with CBS this morning on March the 29th, Carrey expressed his disapproval of how the situation was handled, especially with Smith still winning Best Actor for King Richard shortly thereafter. I was sickened by the standing ovation. Hollywood is just spineless en masse, and it really felt like this is a really clear indication that we aren't the cool club anymore, Carrey said. The host, Gayle King, for it is she, further speculated if anyone else had walked from the audience and done that, they would have been escorted out by security or maybe even arrested. To which Carrey interrupted, he should have been. When King addressed Rock's refusal to press charges, Carrey said, I would have announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because that video is going to be there forever. He added, if you want to yell from the audience and show disapproval or say something on Twitter, you do not have the right to walk up on stage and smack somebody in the face because they said words. King then suggested the incident escalated, leading Carrey to interject. It didn't escalate. It came out of nowhere because Will has something going on inside him that's frustrated. I don't have anything against Will Smith, although I'm now going to go on national television and badmouth him. He's done great things, but that was not a good moment. It cast a pall over everybody's shining moment. While there has been no punishment for Smith so far, the Academy has said it may discipline him for the incident. Now, what do we learn from this? Well, I'm sure Will Smith isn't that concerned with the views of Jim Carrey. He's got bigger fish to fry at the moment. But what's motivated Jim Carrey to weigh in with his observations? Well, in part, it's likely to be because many famous people are being asked what they think about the famous Oscar slap, and their views have been canvassed, and other actors have expressed views in that respect. But let's examine again what Jim Carrey says for the purpose of understanding where might he be coming from with regard to his own behaviours. What's driving his responses? He expresses disapproval of how the situation was handled. Is that a legitimate observation with regard to the poor handling by the Academy? Is it the case that Carrey is utilising the truth of poor handling to enable him to assert control? Or is he driven from a position of emotional empathy for the way that Rock was treated to express disapproval of what had happened? What do you think? Is Carrey driven by emotional empathy so that it causes him to say the things that he did? Or might it be that there's a narcissist influence with him, and actually he doesn't give two figs about the behaviour, and his narcissism, if he is one, sees an opportunity to point score and facade manage by making such a comment to appear to demonstrate moral fibre, if you will. What about this statement? I was sickened by the standing ovation. Hollywood is just spineless en masse, and it really felt like this is a really clear indication that we aren't the cool club anymore. Carrey, of course, is somebody from Hollywood, and he, of course, is somebody that has disrupted proceedings previously. I recall seeing footage where he was asked to leave his seat at an awards ceremony, which was being presented by the actor whose name escapes me at the moment, but he plays Jake Perella in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And he carried on larking about, not showing any actual concern for the fact that he was holding up proceedings, that he was sat in the wrong place, and continued to lark about, making it all about him. Is that perhaps the reaction of somebody who feels rather embarrassed by what's happened to them and is just making a joke about it? Or is it somebody who feels an unconscious threat to control at being told, you're in the wrong place, you're holding things up, please will you move, and therefore basically has to arse around saying that he can't hear what's being said and holding up a pair of glasses as way of a pair of false binoculars. To state that he was sickened by the standing ovation, does this exhibit that he has emotional empathy? That he did indeed feel sickened? Or was it that he was occasioned to feel this way because it suits his purposes to assert control over whoever reads this article and whoever was listening to the article, listening to the interview, and also with regard to speaking to Gayle King, to present as actually being of the moral majority, that he truly cares? He also, note, bites the hand that feeds him by, in effect, turning around and saying Hollywood is just spineless en masse. Is that hypocrisy? Or is this a genuine observation of what Hollywood is about, pointing out Hollywood's hypocrisies, and that he does so from a position of honesty and decency? Gayle King, of course, mentions about the fact that he ought to have been arrested, and Carrey confirms that should be the case. That shows an absence of emotional empathy for the impact upon Will Smith. Is it perhaps Jim Carrey has none for him because he doesn't know him? Or is it because Jim Carrey's emotional empathy is eroded because he sees misconduct and therefore thinks, well, I don't have any sympathy for you because of the way that you've behaved, similar to the way that many people have commented about Smith's behaviour? Or is it that it's simply not there, and again it serves Carrey's purposes to stand in moral judgment of Will Smith? And then, of course, the statement, I would have announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because that video is going to be there forever. Why does he feel it's necessary for him to tell Chris Rock how he should behave in relation to Will Smith? Does he have a dog in the fight? Or does he not see that there's a boundary there and he feels entitled to comment and tell everybody about what he would have done if it had happened to him? Or is this simply fair comment from him? After all, he's being interviewed and asked what's going on, and therefore expressing, well, if I'd have been in Chris Rock's shoes, that's how I would have played it. The suggestion of a sum of $200 million, that's a vast amount of money. And whilst one knows that the American legal system can get rather excited when it comes to damages awards, is that a realistic observation, or are we seeing exaggeration and grandiosity exhibited by Mr. Carrey? He continues by saying that if you want to yell from the audience and show disapproval or say something on Twitter, you do not have the right to walk up on stage and smack somebody in the face because they said the words. Is this somebody that recognises a boundary? Is this somebody who operates with emotional empathy in saying those words? Or is it someone who just knows how he should behave and knows that this is the appropriate thing to say in the circumstances? Finally, I don't have anything against Will Smith, but as I just mentioned earlier, he does seem to feel entitled that he can still badmouth him. Or is he badmouthing him? Is he merely stating it as how he is, and therefore it's fair enough? And is he calling it correctly by saying that was not a good moment, it cast a pall over everybody's shining moment? And he does so again from a position of appropriate moral judgment? Or is he utilising the circumstances to his own purposes? We cannot simply tell from one news article alone about Jim Carrey and what he has to say. But the purpose of this is to help you understand how the behaviours of one person can be interpreted in different ways, that we can look at it through the lens of somebody exhibiting emotional empathy, or we can look at it through the lens of somebody who's behaving in the way of the narcissist. Of course, in order to make a determination so that we can accurately understand what's driving Jim Carrey's observations, whether it is emotional empathy or whether it's the need to pursue the prime aims vis-à-vis the narcissist, we need to, of course, assess him. We need to work out what Jim Carrey is by looking at the evidence over a sustained period of time. And that is something I shall be doing in the near future to help you understand more about assessing individuals and determining, is a person a narcissist or are they something else, and what that means. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.